It's Toad Thursday on the Toad Cam in Toad York City on Toad Autumn. Oh God, we have so much to talk about today in a short, compressed time. I'll tell you, if you get used to making YouTubes, you get used to this process, you will tighten up your communication quite a bit. When you've got to get yourself out there and expressed and pack it into a 5 to 10 minute frame, you really start to appreciate what succinct communication is. I personally would like to see every kid in school, especially as they're about to transition into university, have to make something like this. I don't know, something kind of YouTube-like thing, and have to do it every day, like a daily diary or a daily recording of their thoughts that day, and learn how to clarify and express and compact their thinking. Okay, what's on the toad brain this fine toad day? The unconscious mind. And as I said in my last thing, which was a little bit hurried because I had to rush off to the doctor and get a blood test yesterday, so I was zooming out the door and I had to compress my thoughts like just into total squeeze. The unconscious mind is, of course, a very loose construct. It could mean many, many things, and it has been probably since its introduction. I'm not sure exactly when the concept really started to enter the general discussion, what year in the 19th century, in the 1880s, 1890s, where this thing called the unconscious mind was becoming of interest. And it has gone through so many different iterations and so many different ideas of what it is, how it operates, from everything probably from very, very ancient models of speaking through oracles or having spirits speak through you. Shamanic cultures, who knows, maybe spirits do speak through you. I'm not going to necessarily reject that idea, to these very modern neuroscientific ideas and everything in between. As far as NLP is concerned, the unconscious mind seems to have two dominant theories that are in complete conflict. One which is more espoused by Richard Bandler, and the Ricardian model of the unconscious mind is he treats it, he says, very much like training a dog. It has the mind of a dog. It is a very simple stimulus response. See this, hear this, respond that. A causes B. It's a very causal kind of thing, like you would find in your Robert Dilts sleight of mouth, a belief kind of thing. You know, you see this, feel that, hear this, think that, smell this, see that. A to B is this kind of very quick if-then switching function. I'm not sure if I agree with that totally. I probably don't. That sounds more to me like the limbic mind, what we would call the limbic mind, or the paleo-mammalian mind. John Grinder's idea, I think, the Grinderian model of the unconscious mind, is quite different, and this sounds more like probably the Milton idea of the unconscious mind. Is the unconscious mind is more of an invisible self, is part of oneself that one does not have direct linguistic or visual relationship with, yet is able to do a tremendous amount of processing, kind of out of sight, out of mind processing, very deep level processing, and then send over into those parts of the mind which are used to visualize or auditorialize or somehow internally represent in the theater of consciousness what's been going on out of sight, sort of off stage. So one is the Ricardian dog see-do model, and the other is the Grinderian sort of spotlight of consciousness on stage, and what happens off stage is off stage. And I've mentioned to many of the readers of NLP Connections, this thinker, absolutely seminal monster thinker. This guy is probably the next great voice that nobody knows about yet, but you will soon. And if you want to get way ahead of the curve, Ian McGilchrist's absolutely phenomenally mega book here. The bibliography alone on this thing is 75 pages. The Master and His Emissary. And McGilchrist, I-A-I-N, Ian McGilchrist, there's his name, and the book, The Master and His Emissary, The Divided Brain and the Making of the Western World, okay? This is unlight reading, but it's actually quite readable for a big, huge book. And McGilchrist is very much of the idea that cultures actually tend to have different hemisphere dominance, or access to different degrees of right and left hemisphere, and hemisphericity is very important both in individual consciousness and cultural consciousness. So I am currently very influenced by Ian McGilchrist's thinking. I think McGilchrist represents the next stage of understanding. Well, I've rattled on here at some length, so I'm going to park this, and we'll pick this up a little bit later.